Hey there, welcome to the Girl Go Global podcast, where faith and works are empowered. With every episode, we're embracing our multi-layered lives with faith, know-how, and grit. I'm your host, Dr. Jasmine, and I'm ready to go global with you. Let's get started. Well, welcome to the Girl Go Global podcast, where faith and works are empowered. We are around here empowering women to join their faith and their works to live out the courageous life for which God created them. I'm Dr. Jasmine, your host, and I can't wait to have this conversation with you today. And if you have been enjoying our content, don't forget to subscribe and give us a review. We'd love to hear how you've been enjoying the content, and let us know how it's empowering you to step out into your purpose and step into your power to fulfill your destiny on earth. But today, I have with me Miss Tori Allen, a marketing extraordinaire with a passion for turning the greatest ideas into industry game changers. Tori is the go-to guru to make your brainchild a huge success. Tori is the most renowned for launching more than 100 products, earning billions of media impressions for clients, including being featured on Good Morning America and the New York Times. Tori is the founder of this and CEO of Brainchild Associates, a full-service marketing boutique that has been around for more than 15 years. Tori and her clients include Target and L'Oreal, y'all. So we are not talking to a novice. We are talking to a guru. Tori, would you please tell the global girls more about yourself?
Wow. Well, thank you so much. What an exciting introduction. Who is she? Who is Tori? Well, thanks so much, Jasmine. And I'm happy and I'm excited to be on your podcast and be able to, share more and chat with your audience. As you mentioned, I run an agency known as Brainchild Associates. And we've been in business for more than 16 years, based here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And a lot, we're a full service agency. So, our clients come to us to provide everything from strategic brand positioning, really helping them to hone and cultivate a brand presence, to launching new products, to establishing themselves into the digital space. So, we help our clients every step of the way with the resources that we have, and always excited to talk about, some of the things that I've done and how I can help others be able to, make the path towards greatness and success as it relates to building and accelerating their brands, is even easier, because it can be convoluted and complex. But with the right guidance and the right insight and the know-how, we can kind of, break it down into the easy steps, so we can accomplish the end goal that we're trying to set forth. So looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Tori. And I'm so pleased also that this episode is sponsored by the Black Directory. It's the largest Black business directory in the world, y'all. And me and Tori are both members of the Black Directory membership, where we've been able to learn and have engaging conversations with other Black owned businesses, as well as learn about what that organization has to offer. And if you have not searched for the Black Directory, please go in and Google Black Directory. You'll learn more about how to locate Black-owned businesses, as well as if you are a Black-owned business, how to join and what benefits are associated with your membership. But today, I'm so excited that I've been able to meet Tori. We've been able to connect, and we'll talk a little bit more about our project together. But first, I'd like to talk with you, Tori, just a little bit about business ownership and branding and marketing and all that you offer, particularly because I have a lot of people in my circles who are business owners, particularly women. As you know, women are thriving in business ownership. I think Black women are outranking many communities in the realm of business. And so I have a lot of friends who are business owners, and Some of them are in the infancy. Some of them have been in business for years. Some of them have scaled in business. But I really, really want to talk with you today about how you can help that new business, that mid-year business, that business who has not yet reached six figures, market their business in order for to help them scale and drop that 9 to 5. Because I know that's a big conversation piece these
Mm-hmm.
days about leaving your 9 to 5, scaling your business, and wanting to thrive in your own lane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, in speaking with, a startup or a fairly, new business, one of the first things um, that I do with clients is make sure we have a very clear path of what we're trying to accomplish. And when I say clear path, we produce what I call a brain print,
Hmm.
which is essentially it's a marketing blueprint of your brand strategy. So based on what you're trying to accomplish, how do we strategically get from point A to point Z with the resources that you do already have in house that can be leveraged, and some know-how of your target audience, and what are some of the pain points that your product or your service can address. And
Hmm.
then, how do we meet your target audience where they reside, whether online or offline, with your solution, and making sure we're armed with the right tools to demonstrate and or communicate your value to them.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the goal is to make what you offer a no-brainer,
Mm.
a done deal, an easy sale. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times people don't know how to articulate what they have to offer in a way that people can understand, you know.
Mm.
And while they may be excited about it, it may be difficult for their customers or their clients to be equally excited about it because they don't understand it, so making sure that we are speaking in a language that really connects with that audience, and we're presenting that information in a very concise way where they can process it and then ultimately take the desired action that we want them to take, which is to purchase whatever it is that you're trying to sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's key. If we don't have a guide, a plan, and we're just firing off from the hip, doing all the latest and greatest things we kind of hear about, on social media, but there's no real, process of how we get from point A to point Z. There's no way of really tracking our success and making necessary adjustments as we need to make. um, it's kind of building a brand on quicksand, so
That's
by
good.
having this brain print, this really gives you a foundation. This gives you a guide that you can reference and come back to and measure your success against. And that's critical. And a lot of people just go into business ready to, fire off, but they have no real strategy, no real guide, no real plan of action that they can reference to ensure that they're staying on track and staying on target, and not getting derailed by, the shiny object syndrome. So
Mm.
so that's key, is making sure you have a good plan in place, and then from there we can take the action that we need to take to really position your brand the best way.
Oh, you said so many good things. I love that. Building your brand on quicksand.
Hmm.
I love that. I love that. And I also like that you've brought out this idea that we need to be solving a problem. Even
Hmm.
in my business, there are things that I love. I'm a writer. I love content development. I love words. I love using different type of words. I get happy when I say look into the thesaurus and find new words. That's like my thing, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
if I have a communications firm
Hmm.
and have these services, I provide things that I'm providing services that I enjoy, but I'm not serving the client base problem. If
Mhm.
I'm not solving the problem, it's going to be hard for me to speak to my
Mhm.
target audience, because
Mhm.
what the problem was may have been when I started in business in 2016 may not be the answer in 2022.
Mhm.
So
Indeed.
I finding myself having to rebrand and teach myself how to
Mhm.
show up for the clients that I say are my target audience.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what you say, I guess I would say in a nutshell, is speaking the language of your audience is key.
Is very key because see that makes the difference between a hard sale and an easy sale. You
Mm,
know, when the low hanging fruit, which is that target audience that really is in need of what it is that you have, once they get it, it's a done deal. And if your product or service delivers on what it promised, then you can pretty much sell anything to that audience. But the first step is making sure that they are very clear on what solution you plan to solve for them.
mhm.
And for many businesses, you know um, they miss the mark on that, and then when they come to me, I have to take it all the way back to the beginning, and many times we have to start them from scratch,
Wow.
because the way they have positioned themselves, it's a hard sell, like no one is getting it. And I get people, they just so excited with what they have, and they're trying to make that money quick, fast, in a hurry. But you do need to take the time that it requires to really understand your audience and understand why it's important for them to consume whatever it is that you have to offer. And you have to be very clear about that, and having that plan, and not just clear about that, but then also clear about what the next steps are once you become clear,
Mhm.
in a very strategic way. As you said, we scale things, so really understanding what are the first, second, and third steps that I need to take to really, penetrate that audience and build a company accordingly,
Mm.
so yeah.
What recommendation do you have for folks in business to get clear about the problem that they're solving?
Well, one, they need to understand the pain points of their customers.
Mm,
What are the issues and challenges that your customers have that you can solve, right? So usually when I work with a client, we do a full target audience analysis,
mhm,
where in many instances we may have to get deep, like even beyond the issues that your product can directly address. What is the life like for that customer? What does that, what's that profile look like? What's that client look like?
mhm,
How do they work? What area, or what even position? Is this a mid-level professional? Is this an entrepreneur? Like, what are the dynamics? What are the psychographics?
mm,
When it comes to what you offer, what is the client, what is that audience's understanding of what it is that you already do? Do they like, what you have to do? Do they not like what you have to do?
mhm.
Like I've worked with clients that specialize in insurance. A lot of people hate that they have to get insurance,
Right,
especially if
right.
they never have a need to put in a claim. You only appreciate it when you have like a claim, when something happens. Then you're
Mhm,
thankful that you have. But when nothing happens and you're still paying this premium every month, some people have great resentment towards it. But if you understand and can really appreciate the necessities of having that insurance, then you don't mind paying that premium. So it's really about understanding those dynamics within your target. How do they feel about it, if this is something that isn't completely brand new, and then based on all the knowledge and understanding that you have about your audience, how do you then position your product in a way that they can easily process what it's designed to do and appreciate what it's designed to do, so that they won't want to buy it?
mhm.
So yeah.
That's so interesting. That's really interesting. And have you seen the pain points, when you trying to unpack the pain points, one of the ways that I do it is observing. If I get a client or email or someone wanting to work with me, I'm listening to what they're asking me that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So often people aren't necessarily paying attention. And as one of the ways recently I've been doing is listening to what people need on our Black Directory membership calls
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and seeing how I can feel a need or what the market is saying now, what business owners are saying now in the realm of communication, what industry leaders are saying now. And I think that's one of the ways I'm able to kind of identify the pain points. Is there anything else you would share?
I mean, that's a good way. I mean, actually, speaking, doing, um, group sessions and group discussions and just asking them those questions and getting their feedback. Doing surveys. A lot of people do surveys and they send it out to key, individuals or groups. People put it up on social media and they get a lot of intelligence and a lot of data, through surveys. Or they might conduct discussions in special interest groups that are related to whatever they're trying to sell. So and then of course there's good old, Google, where
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of data and lots of reports and things that other people have already done that can be, researched and compiled and analyzed to determine some of the various statistics and psychographics and all the dynamics that make people, make a buying decision, so there's a lot of different ways, of course, different approaches may apply based on your industry and based on your product and or service. But all of those are great ways, in addition to, just speaking to people around you, your friends, your family, and getting their input, if your product relates, to get some more intelligence beyond just your own understanding of your product and why people should buy it.
Interesting. So at what point should a business owner and or brand connect with a marketing guru like yourself? Like sometimes we don't know when and how to market. When
Hmm.
should we as business owners consult with a market, whether you're a startup, whether you've been in business for many, many years? What are your thoughts on that?
Hmm. Well, ideally, if oftentimes people put so much emphasis and so much money into product development,
Mm-hmm.
and when it comes time to when they're ready to sell this product, oftentimes people think they can just, put it up on Facebook or put it up on Instagram, and everyone's gonna just, flock to this product now that it's developed, and it's ready to market. And after many hours spent and however many ad dollars spent, they come up short and they're scratching their heads as to, why no one seems to want this product that they thought was an essential product that people just
Mm.
had to have. And it's because you need to start marketing many times even before the product is maybe finished development,
Mm-hmm.
um you at least need to have marketing in the forefront of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of clients, when they come to me in the infancy stages before they even launch the product, because a lot of times by the time they come to me, they come to me at their wits' end after
Mm-hmm.
they've tried it all and they're completely burnt out and spent out. By this point, they have no more money, like, and they're completely frustrated, but they're in a desperate situation. That's kind of like when you don't want to come to me, but oftentimes that's when they come. But when I do get those clients that come to me first before they spend all that time and spend all that money, and then we're able to strategically, establish, those products or those brands, and when they're able to, when we're able to start from the very beginning, and a lot of times, we may do some preliminary marketing, some pre-launches before we actually even launch the product. we're already running campaigns just to build their email lists, just to get those cell phone numbers, so we can stay in contact with folks when it actually launches. We may do some pre-sales, and while we're pre-selling, the product might still be in development, but we've already done the work to know how to position this product in a way where their target audience is going to be excited. We already have highlights of what the product offers, maybe some visuals of it, so people know what they get. We may have some samples where we're able to do demonstrations. We may have done some sampling where we have actual testimonials from a few target customers that we can leverage. So there's already all that preliminary work has already been established. So by the time they get ready to launch, they already have a waiting and willing audience of customers waiting, ready to buy if they haven't bought during the pre-launch phase. So that is ideally the way you want to do it. If especially if you're starting completely from scratch. Now there's some clients, they may have already established a following or an audience even before they launch the product. But that they have the people, but they do have a following of people who have already invested in their brands, so that trust is already established. And we use that same pre-launch strategy. That is always an ideal approach, as opposed to expecting to turn a product immediately after your product is developed. It may take some time. If the initial groundwork wasn't done beforehand. So what I do to help clients prepare is that brain print that I mentioned to you. Not only does it provide a complete launch strategy, depending on, what kind of, product or service you're trying to establish, but it also has a full marketing budget, because a lot of people don't even understand what it may cost.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Effectively market a product, which is why they don't even plan for that when they're in the product development stage, So that marketing plan that I arm them with includes an itemized budget, so they know exactly what the cost would be. Even if whether they decide to hire my agency to do the implementation for them or not, they still have that reference to know, okay, I need to have this set aside, for social media, this set aside for advertising, this set aside for graphic design, so they already have all the components of what's required in order to implement that marketing plan when they get that plan. So at minimum, you should have a solid plan in place that you could execute against, even if you have to do it yourself, if you're starting out. But at least if you invest in having a concrete plan, you're not having to think through it in the clouds. You have some professional guidance to help you. That's definitely one step in the right direction.
That's so interesting. Let me ask you a quick question about, I think I'm really starting to feel like people these days believe that once they post a few images on social, whatever platform they use, they've marketed. Like, can you help people who don't really know define for us all, what is marketing? Like, I know that has many layers, but if you could sum it up in a few words, like, what is marketing? What does it entail? Because I know it's more than just posting on social, but I think sometimes some of us are getting the definition of marketing and what it entails a little bit confused.
Well, you really can't bank on posting anything on social these days, because social media doesn't have the same impact nor reach that it used to have, back in the early days, and it changes by the day. So what was effective today may not be effective tomorrow.
Correct.
So you really cannot bank on a social media post to exclusively, take you from zero to whatever your revenue goals are. It's just not going to happen today. You really do need to have a solid game plan of how you can really present and push your product and or service through the marketplace. And it won't be through organic social media posts. Those days are over. Um, but as far as what it really takes to market your product, it first starts with an understanding of your target audience. It's more than just product knowledge. You need to understand your audience. You need to have um, a complete in-depth understanding and analysis of sorts to understand why your target audience will want to buy your product. Everything is framed around that, as far as the communication of how the product is presented to that target audience, to the visuals, how that product, everything from the packaging, if we're talking physical product, or even if we're talking about, the servicing, everything from the brand identity, what it needs to look like online, how it needs to be laid out, how the benefits need to be articulated, how the features need to be articulated, the why, what, at the end of the day, how is this product going to impact, your business, your personal life, your family, whatever the case might be. Having that knowledge of who your target audience is and why they see the need for your product is the very first thing you need to understand. Then this next thing is, how do I reach this target audience? It may be social media. It may be through some advertising. It may be through content creation. It may be through events. You may need to exhibit at events or speak at events. It may be through networking. It may be through collaborations with other entities where you're joining forces. I mean, it could be a multitude of ways in which it would be determined for you to reach this audience. And then that'll also determine how much money needs to be spent accordingly to reach that audience. And then, how do you present it? How are you demonstrating the effectiveness of what it is that you have to offer to that audience? So everything first starts with the understanding of the target audience that you're trying to reach to sell your product or service. And then we build from there. The what, the how, the frequency, the budget, the resources that are all required. Everything is built around the nucleus of really understanding that target audience and how do we communicate with them and how do we reach them so that, the message hits. And then if they agree that this is something that they need, they're willing to buy. And then, what's the upsell process? How do we get them to continue to buy? So it's a revolving process, but it's certainly much more than just a post on Facebook or Instagram to market your product. It is a little bit more dynamic than that, which is why if you don't do nothing else, get a marketing plan so it can lay out exactly what you need to do for your unique business and or service.
That's so good. That's so good. Hey, y'all. Hey, Global Girls. I am talking to Miss Tori Allen, founder and CEO of Brainchild Associates, a boutique marketing firm. She is dropping real gems about marketing and building up your business in a way that you can get clients, y'all. We need to make some sales around here. And so I brought her on just to have some conversation about what we can do to further improve our marketing for our brands and our businesses, because I know a lot of you out there are venturing into the business space and you are looking for how to get your voice out there. So Tori, you've been in business for more than 15 years and you've worked with hundreds of clients in different spectrums and different realms. Can you tell me a little bit about the faith it's taking you to launch this business and scale this business over the last 15 plus years?
Yeah, well, it's not for the faint of heart. You need some faith to have that type of longevity, and stick-to-itiveness, for all the different, journeys that you go on when you are in business for yourself. So faith is at the core and at the center of my business and in how I do business. God is in the forefront of every step that I take, every business decision that I take, every client even that I take on. And to ensure that it really is a divine fit, where
Mm,
the end result is mutually benefiting on both ends. So faith is a tremendous driver in my business, in my personal life. Um, Faith is the guiding light towards my vision for the business, as far as where I'm trying to take my business, from the present to the future. How I even look at past experiences and build from build upon them. So it is tremendous, and it keeps me going even when things don't always go the way that I anticipated. It's the faith that keeps me going and keeps me focused on, no matter what, keep your eye on the prize, and fulfill this mission that God has set for me. So and I move forward and accordingly.
that's so good. Now, had you always been in marketing, or did you kind of land into this marketing industry? How did you start out in business?
So yeah, I pretty much always been in this arena. Initially, my lifelong dream was to be a playwright, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, so and I had produced plays all through high school and college, and I was supposed to be, the female Tyler Perry. But at the time when I graduated from college and I was looking for work, the in that particular industry here in Atlanta, I went to Spelman. I'm a Spelman grad. So in Atlanta at that time, Tyler had not set that stage yet. And at that time, the industry wasn't quite as established.
Okay.
And, me being the new Spelman, grad that I was, I wanted to embark upon a career that I could still leverage some of my creative juices, but still be able to survive on my own, coming straight out of college. I'm from New York originally. So all my family was in New York. So I wanted to stay in Atlanta and pave a way for myself here. And
Mhm.
so the natural fit that I felt where I can still, get into corporate America, yet still exercise my creative juices, was to get into the marketing public relations realm. So that's how I
Mm.
got started. So I was interning for one of the largest Black PR and marketing agencies at that time, which was Images USA.
Okay.
And then they hired me on after I graduated. I was working in their PR department, working on accounts such as McDonald's and the GMSDC and Pepsi, and the US Army. So I was working on some of their major corporate brands, planning and implementing various, PR campaigns against some of the initiatives that was being put together by the agency. And then from there, I went to work with a international corporate PR firm known as Porter Novelli.
Mm.
And they're all over the world, one of the top PR agencies, where I worked in their corporate communications division. And in that capacity, I was putting together communication plans for a lot of tech companies and manufacturing companies. It was straight B2B, very corporate, very buttoned up. As I began, after a few years of working there, I didn't quite feel it was a little too buttoned up for me. I wanted something that allowed me to explore and exercise my creative juices a little bit more. Um, Working in the corporate communications field, it was rigid, but in hindsight, it that was the foundation of a lot of the structure that I do bring to my business to this day, because it was a very structured um, approach, to how we did things. It also, we also did a lot of analysis and a lot of monitoring and tracking, a lot of, data tracking. So, it was more than just doing a lot of things and not really measuring the performance of how we did things.
Okay.
So I was able to acquire a lot of that type of training when it came to implementing campaigns so that we know how to maneuver and adjust and improve things along the way as we see fit. So, I decided then, one of my colleagues at the time, we were freelance. We decided to do some freelance projects together while we were working at Porto Novelli. And in the midst of freelancing, we connected. One of a mutual colleague of ours had a connection with the National Urban League and indicated that they were looking for some PR support for their annual conference. And they referred us to the corporate, National Urban Leagues as a resource. And we were brought on. We got a contract with the National Urban League for the annual conference. We were running the entire PR arsenal for their conference, which
Wow.
is a major machine. And at that
For
time,
sure.
um, this is some years ago, but at that time, Barack Obama was running for president for the first time.
Okay.
And all of the presidents from Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, I can't even remember all the other candidates' names, but they were all running. And of course, they're all trying to appeal to the constituency of the Urban League for votes. And we had to manage all the PR around all of these presidential candidates making appearances and conducting debates at this conference. And so that was a big learning experience, and it was also a huge door opener as far as how my business got started, because we got to meet so many people, and we were the points of contact, for all, press to access this conference, and we were responsible for getting information out daily. It was very it was a robust machine that we were running, and we had a small team of people that we hired to help us. But that opened up doors to other contract opportunities. We then went on to do PR and marketing for the National MBA Association Conference, the Black Mayors Conference. I mean, at one point, we were like the conference queens. We were doing all these national conferences, and it got to the point where it was more than what we can do from a freelance capacity. So then we decided to dive in, make this a full-time commitment. And thus Brainchild Associates was formed. And the name came to me in the middle of the night. It was a light bulb moment. It was like, Brainchild. I don't know. That was the name God gave me. And that's how we got started. And then through the conferences, then we got to meet the individuals, attending the conferences, the individuals that were working the conferences. And then we began to get, we started working with, all member businesses and whatnot that we connected and networked with from these organizations. And then it just kind of just grew from there.
That's such a great story. And I'll have to share that I went to school to be a playwright.
How about that?
I was an English major, but my concentration was playwriting.
Interesting. I was an English major as well.
Yeah, and I had not pursued it really after going to school, really, for whatever reason. I just went right into education. But yeah, I was, I've since used those creative juices in other ways, obviously. But yeah, I went to school for playwriting, created my concentration was creative writing, and the specialty was playwriting. So
well, how about that?
Yeah.
To this day, my mother's like, you should be writing scripts of all of these shows.
Listen, we still have time. We still have time.
We do, but I do this now. I write scripts. We're doing. Look, everybody's doing videos now.
How about that? Yeah, it's
So
just a different way.
I'm already doing it. It may not be on a physical stage, but it's on virtual stages, and it's at events, and sometimes it is even on a physical stage. So I'm doing it. It may not be fiction, in a fictional sense, but it's still the same. It's still the same thing. So
Yeah, I think
I
you might
ended
be
up.
right.
I'm still doing it, and I have to remind her of these things. I'm like, I'm still doing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
You just reminded me, even as a speechwriter or writing
yeah,
for other people, I'm having to take on other personas and personalities in order to
indeed,
make the content something relevant and what they would say, obviously.
indeed,
So
indeed.
yeah, you gave me another perspective. Maybe I
Yeah,
am using those, creative juice, that playwriting, all
you
those
absolutely are.
I've
It might
used.
the formatting might be a little different, but
Yeah.
it very much so is within the same vein. So yeah.
Awesome. That's so
Hmm.
good. So,
Hmm.
Tori, can you tell me what's the best advice you would give women who want to step into your industry? Obviously, it's probably changed from when you first started, and the way you got into it is much different than most. But are there any is there any advices you would give other women who say, I want to get into that PR, I want to get into marketing? How would you recommend they do that in 2022?
Yeah. Well, like you said, things change, right? So, and as I mentioned earlier, what was effective today may not be effective tomorrow. So, the key thing I would say is invest in your professional development. You know,
Hmm.
really make sure your skills and your knowledge is up to par with the fast pace of our industry, of the new technologies that are being developed. Um, back in the day when I first started, even in a PR sense, it was all about, how great we said something was or how great the client said it was, and people just went off that word, It's not like that anymore. It's not about how great you think it is. It's how great other people think it is.
Mm,
And so making sure that you get enough people to speak your praises is what validates you now.
mm,
Otherwise, you're not validated until that happens. So, in order to be validated now, you have to be able to provide real value to people.
that's true.
Um, and concrete information that makes a difference in people's lives. It's not about you. It is completely about the people that you are trying to serve. So now everything kind of comes through the lens of how do we ensure that people grasp and appreciate what you have to serve so that we can monetize that and build a larger audience around your brand. It's no
Mm,
longer just about that individual and their skill and their technique and their talent and their innovations. Is what other people saying about it, so
mm,
and so things change constantly. And if you want to step into this industry and you want to have success and be at the top, you need to know your stuff, and you need to be up to date with the latest and greatest, and be able to provide a top tier level of quality to your clients, because people have a lot more information.
yeah, it's
And so
everywhere.
they know
Information
what
is
can
literally
be done and
everywhere.
can't be done.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't get away with a lot of things now. You have a lot of people imparting a lot of knowledge, or a lot of people doing things themselves because they other marketing professionals have failed them, and,
Mm,
and, and people know that they've been failed. So if you want to have any level of success, you need to inundate, which is what I do, on a daily basis, inundate yourself with the latest and greatest information, so that you're at the top of your game. That's the probably most essential piece of advice I would give.
that was great advice. Information is literally everywhere. Google,
Mhm.
YouTube University,
Everywhere. Yeah.
Clubhouse, podcasting, information is everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's true. You gotta know your stuff. And I think that's in any industry. Any
Yeah.
industry, because people will know how to fact check on their own now.
On their own.
You don't need to go to the New York Times or other platforms like that. People are fact checking on their own,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, a lot of clients they've done well. You know, a lot of clients I've come across, they've done a lot on their own. Just learning the ropes themselves. You know, by the time they come to me, for those who have done well, they've just got to a point where they just can't do it anymore. But it's not because they don't know what to do. So you really need to know your stuff, because you don't want your clients to tell you how to do your job, right? So you need to know your job. So you really need to be up on your craft and just what's happening in the present and in the future.
For sure, for sure. I totally 1,000% agree with everything you just shared. So here at the Girl Go Global community and podcast, we believe in faith. We believe in that know-how, that strategy to get to where we're supposed to be and get into that purpose. And we also believe in that grit, that persistence to show up every day with courage, and live out that courageous life for which God created us to live. So, Tori, would you tell us what gives you courage to show up every day? You've been in this thing for over 15 years. You haven't shown any sign of stopping yet. Where do you get your courage from?
Yeah, I've always, I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. So, taking on this path, I think was just, laid out for me by God. So, my courage, comes from Him. My courage comes from, wanting to offer the best to my clients so that their brainchilds can thrive,
Hmm.
and wanting to ensure that I am at the top of my game, as I mentioned earlier, to ensure that that is the case, because at the end of the day, the more value I provide to my clients, the more value I get back. you know
Hmm.
so it all kind of fuels itself into this ecosystem. So and then the more value I provide, it also provides the validation and the confirmation that I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm
Mm.
supposed to do. And that confirmation absolutely keeps me going. Even when I have to, when I have my moments when it's like, oh, what is this now? This new phenomenon that I now have to master. It's like, oh, I just, I have my little woosah moment, and then it's like,
Mm.
okay, now let me go ahead and sink my teeth into this. So
Mm.
and that's what keeps it going, and I'm inspired by it. God continues to give me new ideas, give me new visions that I then embark upon, and it happens. So when these things manifest themselves, then again, that's the confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so I need to
Mm.
do it.
That's so good. That's so good. So when I say what it means to go global, what does that mean to you? Like, girl, go global. We've been talking all about going global. We believe in that faith. We believe in that know-how. We believe in that grit. But when I say, what does it mean for girls to go global? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, to go global, it means expanded territory. It means you're able to take your mission, to the world. It means you're able to acquire a larger community, that is in support of the mission and the purpose that has been set for you. So yeah, that's what that means to me. It's expanded territory.
Awesome. Expanded territory. And so we are expanding our territory through a collaboration.
We
And
are.
so I'm so excited to have a little bit of conversation around what we're doing. Do you want to share with the global girls what we have in store within the next few months?
Absolutely. I'm super excited. You know, again, this is one of those divine encounters, I believe, Jasmine, because when you had approached me about collaboration, as we were able to work together, with the Black directory, which is how we met, and then through our work together, um, it became kind of evident
Mhm.
that there's some good synergies, here as
Yeah.
far as how we work. And, we talked about being able to take what it is that we do, and provide a service to people that can be really tremendous. And, that service is a service of being able to help people launch their um, their online education brands, right?
Mhm.
And what you may not know, Jasmine, is that as I mentioned, this was something that I was already kind of working on, but
Mhm.
being able to collaborate with you with a lot of your writing background and your education and program development background, which is what many people need. People have this, steeped in years experience doing what they do, and they have a passion for what it is that they do, but it doesn't necessarily translate that they know how to teach other people
Mhm.
to do
Correct.
what they do. And so
Correct.
that's kind of where we come in,
Uh-huh.
whereas, you can help them kind of, compartmentalize what they know into a program that can be taught. And then I can take that information and then structure it into an online platform that can be monetized. And
Mhm.
so the service name that God had given me for this service is called Mastery Monetized.
Mm. Oh,
And
that's good. I like
so
that. That hit me. That hit me in my shana now.
okay. And we are monetizing people's mastery, what it is that they do in a multitude of different ways, whether it's through courses, whether it's through digital books, whether it's through educational empowerment events that are virtual, whether it's through coaching programs, membership programs, etc. Mastery Monetized is all about how to leverage your mastery to provide information, empowerment, and resources to your audience. And so, and if there was ever a time where people can monetize the knowledge and the skill sets that they have, this is the time.
This
you
is
know
it.
this
This
is the
is it.
time. Even though the pandemic was devastating and traumatic to us all, one of the silver lining that came out of the pandemic was the e-learning market.
For sure.
The e-learning market blew up in
Literally.
2020.
Literally.
And when I say blew up, I mean $250 billion blow up in 2020 alone.
Mm.
And it changed the way in which people access information now. It's changed our educational system. It's changed how businesses, even corporations, train, their staff, their partners, their customers. I mean, it's totally changed the whole educational dynamic in the world. And so um, by 2027, it's expected to reach $1 trillion
Man,
by
that's
2027.
wow.
So many people have jumped into this pool because they all want a piece of that pie, and I'm not mad at them.
Mhm.
Um, but the reality is, people don't necessarily have the wherewithal, or they may just not have the time that it takes to build an online education brand. It is not for the
Mhm.
faint of heart. There are lots of moving pieces when trying to construct an online education brand successfully. And a lot of people don't necessarily have the wherewithal nor the time to be able to structure that the right way, the best way. And that's where we come in, right? We're
Mhm.
able to help them from from A to Z, from helping them to create their program curriculums, to the educational assets, the digital downloads, the worksheets, the books, the tests, the online courses, the video courses, whatever it is determined to be best suited for your online education brand. Jasmine and I have partnered together to equip you with the assets that you need to build your online infrastructure. And then we also have the resources to actually set it up for you online so that those information products sell on autopilot. You get up in the morning and realize that you made, several sales overnight. You made, several $1,000s, overnight, and we structure that for you. So we take all the guesswork out. You don't have to figure out, how to set it up. You don't need to figure out what you're going to teach if you don't already know. We take all the guesswork out of this. All we need is to be able to extract that information out of your brain and put it on paper, put it online, and then get it out to the masses on your behalf. And you have an online education platform business set up for you. It's all done for you. So it's the Mastery Monetized Done For You program. That's the full and complete name. And this is a program that, Jasmine and I are working very diligently on to get up and running. We're planning to get it launched towards the end of August, and just super excited for the game changer this will be, and how we can take what we do best and provide that level of support to people who really need it. Because, a lot of people are just sitting on their mastery, on their monetized mastery. They're just sitting on it, procrastinating because they really don't know how to get it going.
Right.
And that's where we could come in. We can take that load and that stress off your shoulders and get it pulled together for you, so you can have an online education brand in no time, and you can take part in that, $1 trillion, sector that this e-learning, market has become.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so excited to be collaborating with you. I think it's going to be a great venture. I see great things for it, and we are solving a problem. How about that?
Absolutely.
We're
We
solving
are
a
indeed.
problem and helping other people with their pain points in order
Yes,
for us to further build our businesses both individually and this collective venture.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that takes our conversation full circle.
Mhm.
We that was so good. I've enjoyed talking to you today, Tori, and I'm looking forward to future collaborations and more talks. But for today, tell the global girls how they can contact you if folks are looking for marketing support from you or just want to connect. How best for them to reach you?
Well, the best way to reach me is actually if you go to masterymonetized.com slash waiting list, masterymonetized.com/waiting list. There's a contact form on that page. And if you are wishing to connect with me, whether for Mastery Monetize or even for other services, you could submit your contact information there. And then a member from my team will follow up accordingly and be able to speak to you to determine how we could be of assistance to you. But definitely looking forward to particularly helping those that are very much so interested in some support around building their thought leadership brands, their education brands. They don't have the resources nor the time, and they really are looking for someone to take that load off. That is where I can provide the most support. So masterymonetize.com/waiting list.
Thank you so much, Tori. And this has been the Girl Go Global community and podcast where faith and works are empowered. Thank you so much for listening.